guns and drugs and just insanity. And I was like, I'm gonna die.
She grew up in a middle-class family, took dance classes, mastered the piano. So how did she go from this life to a woman enslaved for sex?
FBI says in some dark corner of our community, people, mostly young women, are held captive, victims of the fastest growing crime in America.
'Cause my hope is found. It could be anybody. It can be anyone. And I am trading my sorrows. And I am trading my shame. Yeah, yeah.
Joy never expected to feel such shame. She grew up in a middle-class family in Aiken, South Carolina. Here she is with her papa. She danced and was classically trained on the piano. A sweet life turned bleak.
Sorry. It's okay. When I got to Charlotte, after I saw this, things just got really dark, a lot more dark and crazier. I'm gonna die.
At 18, Joy was down on her luck, but she had no idea how much worse her life would get.
I was in a club one night and I was kind of struggling with like trying to make ends meet and everything. And this girl in there, she came up to me and she was like, "Oh, you're pretty." And she pulled out like $2,000 or $3,000.
Money is what Joy needed, and she was vulnerable. She had no idea that woman had targeted her. In no time, through violence, drugs, intimidation, and fear, she was enslaved.
They just treat you like a princess, and then they want you to do something for them, which is go have sex for money.
The game, as she calls it, was a business, but she had no control. She was constantly given drugs. She says it was structured. She had what's known as a daddy or a pimp, and she was part of a team, usually about 6 girls. They were sold like a piece of furniture on a website, hour after hour, forced by her pimp to have sex. Her only escape, drugs.
The drugs became the only way to live then.
Yeah, because if you actually are present all the way when you're doing this stuff, you go crazy. So you have to have something, some way out.
So you may be asking, why wouldn't Joy just leave? Well, this is a world where there are security guards watching these victims. There are guns. The women have no access to money. They're basically trapped. Joy?
Well, if you just see a girl that's trying to leave and she's on the same team as you and she was working like I was working for him, and you see her try to leave and he beats her almost to death, you're not going to try to run. You're going to do whatever you have to do.
Because you wanted to stay alive.
It wasn't just seedy motels where she worked. She's been in some of Charlotte's best hotels and finest neighborhoods, forced with the threat of death to sleep with countless men.
I don't know, probably until you couldn't, like, a lot. Until you can't really. I've seen politicians to doctors, lawyers, to dope boys, to basketball players. People buy sex like it's bad. People buy it like it's just nothing.
Then she was trafficked back into Charlotte.
When he brought you from Atlanta to Charlotte, did he explain why? What was the plan?
He said because Charlotte's blowing up and this is where the money's at.
It was the stop here that Joy says changed everything.